Good evening. You're watching AWANI Tonight with me, Soraya Mia. Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim calls on all Malaysians to join him in defending the rights of every Malaysian in the country. The Prime Minister stresses that any attempt to weaken the spirit of unity among the people must be avoided.
Dan negara ini tegak dulunya, tegak sekarang, dan insya-Allah akan terus tegak hebat dengan memperakui kontrak sosial di antara semua kaum dan jaminan semua bahawa hak setiap warga negara mengamalkan agama mereka, memuliakan budaya mereka, termasuk suku kaum mereka, tetap dipertahankan, dan insya-Allah kerajaan perpaduan dengan negara madani akan pertahankan hak setiap rakyat di bumi bertuah ini. Sebab itu, kita harus tumpu perhatian kita ke arah mengelak daripada apa saja usaha yang mungkin melemahkan semangat kejituan dan perpaduan di kalangan kita. Jangan remehkan hal ini. Ada negara yang hebat, muncul sebagai negara gagah, dengan tamadun hebat, tapi hancur. Bukan sahaja kerana tata kelola dan rasuah, tapi kerana dimain api perkauman dan kefanatikan agama.
When delivering his National Day address, Anwar also said that the country should not be known for its landmarks or tall and massive buildings, but rather for the fair treatment given to its people. He has assured that the government will fix basic infrastructure in schools by October, which includes fixing the toilets and roofs of dilapidated schools. Malaysia does not recognize China's claims in the South China Sea, as outlined in the 2023 China Standard Map, which includes Malaysia's maritime areas. The Foreign Ministry in a statement today said the map holds no binding authority over Malaysia.
The map issued by China's Ministry of Natural Resources, released yesterday, includes a significant portion of Malaysian waters near Sabah and Sarawak, as well as various regions in India claimed by China. The Foreign Ministry's statement also added that Malaysia consistently rejects any foreign party's claims to sovereignty, sovereign rights, and jurisdiction over maritime features or maritime areas based on the 1979 Malaysia New Map. The release of China's Standard Map comes ahead of President Xi Jinping's expected attendance to the G20 summit in New Delhi on September 9th to 10th. Observers say this may be a response to India's hosting of events leading up to the G20 summit in the country, an event opposed by Beijing.
A member of Amanah will be made the Negeri Sembilan Legislative Assembly Speaker. Menteri Besar Datuk Seri Aminuddin Harun also says the post of Deputy Speaker has been reserved for a PKR candidate. While the names have not been finalised, Aminuddin said Amanah would propose its candidate and present it to the Yang di-Pertuan Besar of Negeri Sembilan for the ruler's consent. In the previous Negeri Sembilan government, Amanah's Datuk Zulkifli Muhammad Omar was a State Assembly Speaker. His deputy was Datuk M. Ravi from PKR. 10 members of Negeri Sembilan's new Executive Council were sworn in last week, comprising 4 each from DAP and Barisan Nasional, as well as 2 from PKR. Meanwhile, Dewan Rakyat Speaker Tan Sri Johari Abdul has defended his proposal to increase fines for unparliamentary behaviour for up to 10,000 ringgit per offence. He says the proposal was reasonable as there were cases of MPs making inappropriate statements against women, using abusive languages, and acting like gangsters during debates. Speaking to FMT, he said the proposed fines would not burden the MPs as they received up to 25,000 ringgit in allowances each month. Johari also explained that those charged with violating Parliament's rules would first be referred to the Bipartisan Parliamentary Rights and Privileges Committee, where they would have an opportunity to defend themselves. Currently, MPs who make racist, sexist or derogatory remarks during Parliament session can be fined up to 1,000 ringgit, as well as be suspended from the sittings. Johari said with the new proposal, they would not be automatically slapped with 10,000 ringgit fine, but the amount would be within the range of 1,000 ringgit to 10,000 ringgit. On the international front, Singaporeans prepared to head to the polls this Friday to elect their 9th president. 3 presidential candidates will be standing for election to replace incumbent Halimah Yaakob, with much of the campaign discourse centering on their capacity to be independent and non-partisan. PCEO Dr. Zokri Idris explains what brought about the change in Singapore's political dynamics and how it would affect the upcoming presidential election.
There's a few new dynamics in Singaporean politics in the last couple of months, and these dynamics is actually very much different from the normalcy of the president to be detached or to be seen as independent from the dominant party of PAP. So this is another strategic move for each of these candidates to detach themselves from the ruling party in order to give a new vibrant of Singaporean politics post 2023 elections. So I think much of the factor is actually devoted because of the developments of these series of scandals that are involving PAP that demands the candidates to actually be independent. And I think we could not discount the fact that what is happening in Malaysia is also being reflected in Singapore. We've had new dimensions of the young voters who wants change. And in fact, our government has changed, and change is something very normal in the country. I am very much sure this is also been observed by our neighbor down under.
Singaporeans, Zokri said, are looking for a presidential candidate that can offer the best check and balance to the dominant PAP party.
So I think it is vital for the voters to think, who do they want to actually free themselves from being attached and from being linked with the dominant party, or which president would actually have an added value to actually maneuver Singapore domestically and internationally. And I think these are the two yardsticks or measurements for the Singaporean to think comes 1st September 2023.
We'll be right back after the break.
Jelajah Jiwa SME akan bergerak seterusnya ke Johor. Pelbagai aktiviti menanti anda. Bengkel TikTok Shop Malaysia dan Unify Business, perkongsian ilmu oleh Eng Popcorn dan Bos Ijad, sesi pitching saya jual dan banyak lagi. Jumpa anda di JB 2 dan 3 September ini. Dibawakan oleh penaja utama Jelajah Jiwa SME, Unify Business, masa depan anda kini.
A week ago, Thailand officially endorsed Phrathai's Srettha Thavisin as the country's new prime minister after months of political turmoil. According to political analyst Dr. Virot Ali, the country is now a step closer to having a stable working government. However, what's more interesting, he says, is the newly formed cooperation within government between long-time rivals.
For Thailand's stability, at least we have a civilian government. That's one of the most important things. Even though the constitution is still problematic, we're still using the constitution that has been used by the previous, you can say, quasi-junta government. The cap is still there. It's still an issue. But at least the transition of power has been done smoothly, even though with a bit of an issue regarding the Move Forward Party, who was the leader of the coalition in the early stages that didn't materialize. At the same time, on the other level, people are looking at whether the joining of the cabinet, especially by the parties that has been a part of what we call the junta, quasi-junta government last time, some people saw it as an issue. Some people see it as an issue. On the other hand, some people see it as that at least a certain level of animosity between the camps, the political camps in Thailand, has come to a kind of fruition in a way that now people from different kind of perspective on the way how the politics should be functioned now are at least working together. So for some people, I would say the majority of it see it as what we call switching off a 20-year-long conflict between the yellow shirt and the red shirts.
Pheu Thai Party is linked to Thaksin Shinawat and his red shirt supporters, a group formed to protest the 2006 coup that resulted in a military government, while the yellow shirts are a group protesting against Thaksin and his successors. Meanwhile, Virot said with Thailand's new government expected to be sworn in soon, lawmakers will then be able to shift their focus towards strengthening the economy.
I think the biggest issue apart from that Pheu Thai Party is focusing on is the economic issue. Because as you've seen the numbers in the second quarter, Thai economy has slipped down to 1.8%, which is very low. Because our election process is very long. We started off by starting the election process in March. April, May, June, July, we've got the elections completed. And then it took nearly over 2 months, to get the government. So the caretaking government couldn't do much. So now at least in terms of the moving on with the economic growth and development and some of the projects which is very much needed in order to move the country forward, now it's possible. So for a lot of people, it's a kind of a good sign that at least there's what we call ending, to this roller coaster, to this political conflict.
In other news, Idalia has made landfall on Florida's western coast and left over 115,000 residents without power. Earlier on Wednesday, it intensified into a Category 4 hurricane with winds of over 200 kilometers per hour before weakening slightly.
28 of Florida's 67 counties are now under some form of evacuation order. Potentially life-threatening conditions are forecast, including surging seawater of up to 4.5 meters above ground level in some areas. Heavy rains and strong winds are also expected in the states of North and South Carolina, as well as Georgia. The 2023 Atlantic hurricane season is expected to be more active than average due to warmer waters that fuel the development of hurricanes.
Meanwhile, senior officers in Gabon announced they have seized power shortly after President Ali Bongo was re-elected for a third term. They say elections were cancelled, all borders were closed until further notice, and state institutions dissolved.
The officers appeared on national television to announce the ousting of Bongo, saying they represented all Gabonese security and defense forces. There were no immediate comments from the government and reports on the whereabouts of Bongo, who was last seen in public casting his vote on Saturday. If successful, Bongo's overthrow would end his family's 56-year hold on power in the country. This marks the 8th coup in former French colonies in West and Central Africa since 2020, with the most recent in Niger in July.
Malaysian-born giant panda cubs Yi Yi and Sheng Yi have safely arrived in Chengdu, China. They departed on cargo flight from Kuala Lumpur International Airport at 10:30 p.m. yesterday.
Yi Yi and Sheng Yi were born at Zoo Negara in January 2018 and May 2021, respectively. They are the children of Xing Xing and Liang Liang, who were loaned by China to Malaysia in 2014 to mark the 40th anniversary of diplomatic ties between the two countries. The cubs were initially scheduled to return to China when they turned 2, but the plan was postponed due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
That wraps up AWANI Tonight. Thanks for watching. I'm Soraya Mia. Good night.